Episode commencing in 3, 2, 1. Episode initiated.
You've paid your dues, book after book. I've GM'd my sentence, this AP you've partook. And natural toots, well, we've had a few. I've had my share of criticals thrown in my face, but we've made it through. You are the champions, my friends. You won all the boss fights in the end. You are the champions. You are the champions. The Aslanti are the losers. And you've got the rune drive for the free worlds. Guys, welcome back. Welcome back, podcast listeners, kings and queens in your own right, and other non-gendered monarchy rulers. Welcome to Cosmic Crit's Greatest Hits. This is your GM here, G Money Mercury, a.k.a. Patrick, ready to introduce you to the cast and crew of this here podcast for the last time in Season 2. So please join me in welcoming to the show my fine friends and your players. To my right, a well-placed shot from his drone is like dynamite with a laser beam. It's Tyler playing Nikithi and Drone-itis.
I want to be the supersonic man, Patrick.
To his right, she has a tiny demon put aside for thee, and thee, and thee. It's Rebecca rocking Talara.
Scaramouche.
Across the digital table, he will throw a rock at you. It's Miles with a whim. To his right, hey, he's going to trick attack you by making you bite into dust. It's Jabert, bringing Bumfuzzle.
Hey, Patrick.
And to my left, he's got 200 entropy points, yeah, and that's why we call him Mr. Vanguard. It's Drew running with a Kaz.
Woo!
Woo! Woo! Hey, all, how are you guys doing?
I'm very upset that you didn't call Win a fat-bottomed bear.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we have fun
makes
here.
the shit go round.
Whoa!
The ship just revolves
Ship
around
like a-
your butt.
Yeah.
It's got a gravitational
Who,
SHIP. I heard something.
There was a P there, listeners. A P.
P ship.
AP, I see what you did.
Oh,
You also could have used Princess of the Universe. One of my favorite Queen songs.
Speaking of another AP, we have another one done, folks. Another season of Cosmic Crit coming to a close here today. I've just uploaded my personal copies of the PDFs to our shared account. You guys feel free to look through those now that we're done.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about Dead Sons when we were done with that. You guys could go through and read them. But that'll be in the future because today it's episode 115 and it was just a scant 40 episodes ago. You guys were jumping into these player characters' mindsets for the first time. A scientist, a space knight, a tempered warrior, a bewitched summoner, and our favorite goblin, of course. And now we're here at the end of the road once more.
It's been a long road. It's been a fun ride. But
I mean,
No, I thought you were
ready.
about
I'm
to
ready for some
Enterprise theme
R&R.
song.
yeah, I just keep spitting them out all episode. I mean, yeah, it's been 40 episodes, but it's been like almost a full year. It feels like a little less than a year, I guess. We started
February,
early
wasn't it? March?
2019. I want to say January is when we started in earnest. But all good things have to come to a close. Are you guys ready to get back into it? Ready to get to the end of Against the Aeon Throne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared, but I'm ready.
This episode starts not in the vast of space, but within the vast of space, inside the newly magically refurbished power core chamber of the Phoenix's Respite. And here alone, we see the 6 heroes, still bruised, their armor painted with the blood and pockmarked with bullet holes and carbon scoring, as well as space grease and starship oil. The 5 of you and Sedona as well, sitting on tables and chairs around the ominously silent rune drive, still attached to your ship via about 20 cables and wires. A day after the battle against the Star Runner, and you all are realizing now that you won. You have beaten the Aslanti, gotten away. They're not going to be able to follow you anytime soon. But now there's a great responsibility and a decision that is laying on your shoulders. And that is what happens to the rune drive next. And that's why you're all in the power core right now to talk about. Now that combat's done, you've escaped Aurelos. What do your characters say?
It is still hard to believe we are alive. I can't help but feel like we should have died at least a dozen times throughout that.
I told you you'd make it, Slugger.
Got a little hairy there for a minute or two, but yeah, I think we all had it pretty well in hand.
Nikithi looks over at Idis, who only has 3 legs at the moment.
Right, and Bumpuzzle has like 1 eye.
You got 2 and 4 irrespectively there, so you guys got a ton.
Bumpuzzle put an eye patch on his good eye.
Oh boy.
But we must decide what to do about this. It has certainly saved us. I don't believe that we could have escaped the Aslanti fleet without it.
It is a powerful piece of technology. It would be a shame to destroy it if we knew how to do so, but oh boy, it's hard to imagine somebody hanging onto a thing like this.
If it stays on this ship, the Aslanti will find it. They will hunt it down, and they will not stop. It should be destroyed.
I agree that it could be destroyed, but I do not worry too much about the Aslanti being able to recover it. It is so powerful that it can warp such a distance. They would never be able to catch up with it.
I know what I said before about, selling it to the highest bidder other than the Aslanti, but in hindsight, do we know anyone who might be trustworthy? I mean, it seems like a shame to destroy it, but at the same time...
Sedona can jump in and say, in my time with the organization, I have only known them to be honorable and accountable, but the Pact Stewards might be one that can take this technology and keep it out of corporations and outside of other malign alien nations' hands. They are ones that I would trust.
Yes, but trust must be earned. And though the people that you have been in contact with in that organization and worked with in that organization are trustworthy, it is a very large organization with very long tentacles that reach into many other things. I would not trust that someone somewhere in that organization would get their hands on it and take it who knows where to do who knows what with it.
Well, and not only that, but they sent us on this mission knowing that it was basically impossible. They half expected us to die, right?
I also think that it is easy for anybody to say that they will not use the technology during a time of peace. But when war comes, as it is inevitably always does, it will be a great temptation.
I will say right now the rune drive is kind of like burnt out from what you did to upgrade the Phoenix's Respite. That being said, like the tech is still there and could be broken down or kind of dissected. That kind of research would take years. It's not like someone can take it right now and act and like duplicate it like that. It's going to take some time. So, but like I said, your guys' options are basically to give it over to someone to try and hide it, or to just take it yourself and run with it forever. Because like Kaz or Nikithi said there, the Aslantes will try and find this if they know it's still out there.
Other than the Pact Stewards, are there any other options? Do we have any other ideas?
Well, there is a temple. There's a temple where this thing can be held. It is close to the source of all drift beacons. A temple to Triune. And I think perhaps there it can be safe.
Triune is the god that initiated the drift technology, so I mean it's kind of fitting that this is a different form of hyperspace kind of travel.
Right, if there's anyone who can protect us from this device coming back to life, it would be Triune, and we must trust in her. That's my thought. That's my whole thing. But what are your thoughts on the subject, guys?
I'm sorry, I have to remind ourselves. Did this crew go to Illuvion?
No. I begged you to go there several times, but no one wanted to do it.
That was the trick.
Everyone was an old ding dong and said, "No, thank you. I don't want to have fun."
But I think we're all well aware that Bumfuzzle is on a mission to recover Sedona, or maybe it's Aereo or something. Like he's working with, I don't know, androids on Illuvion. Like that's known to us.
Yeah. I've brought that up several times, and I think at this point, I've sort of leveled with everybody. That I was here to bring Sedona back, or at least I thought I was here to bring Sedona back, and then I've since learned that I'm really here for Aereo. But really, I want to bring everybody back. I think everyone belongs at Illuvia.
There's a bunch of different ideas here. Do you guys want to take some kind of vote on what to do, or where to kind of stick the rune drive technology?
Well, I mean, Talara would chime in on Bumfuzzle's behalf, I think. So I don't know exactly who Bumfuzzle is working with over on Illuvion, but everyone I've ever known, other than you guys, you know how we are. But everybody else that has ever been kind to me has been an android. And really, I want to find that android that I saw in my whatever vision from the rune drive. I want to figure out what that's all about. So maybe Illuvion would be a good starting point. We can at least interview these androids and see if we think that they would be up to snuff based on Bumfuzzle's recommendation.
Oh, I promise you, if there's snuff to be up to, they're the folks. Oh, they're the ones for you.
You say that, Bumfuzzle, but they were not exactly honest with you about your own mission. How can you be so certain that you can trust them?
Well, there are gonna be words, I'll say that much, but their mission is true, and it's important. We must bring the 19 together again.
Why?
Okay, well, let's not get into that.
Nobody really lets me in. I was like a level 1 character, so they didn't really bring me into the whole thing. But
with all due respect, I know that you trust these people, but I have not met them. I cannot speak to that, and whatever their mission is, if we don't know about it, if you don't know the details, then this piece of technology that will take years to rebuild, they will have those years. They will rebuild it.
Well, then, Kaz, you must come to Illuvion and meet them. You must understand. You must. Please come with us.
Is going to break you two up and ask Kaz, do you have any inkling what you want to do with the rune drive?
I believe it should be thrown to the closest star, destroyed, never to be recovered.
That is definitely not enough to destroy this magical device. There are whole people's careers built around diving into the packed sun and retrieving ancient items. If we knew how to destroy this, I would say that might be the safest route, but that is not within our capabilities. I understand that many of you have different ideas about what to do with this technology. I feel like we can perhaps take a private vote, and from there we agree that the majority, we will go with their will.
I am fine with this.
Let's vote. Yeah. You guys all okay?
Yeah, I think Wynn might have a suggestion, but I don't know if it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
He would probably be like, is there a way that we could dismantle it so that each one of us has a piece of it, so that it is never together at the same time?
Well, they will probably do that in breaking down the technology, but it's like a 3x3 foot cube, so you would have probably enough in any one of those pieces to replicate at least a little bit of what was going on there.
Okay.
But I mean, if that is something that you want to do and suggest to everyone, I mean, that is like split up the Dragon Balls. They never get back together again.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it would never happen, but I guess in Wynn's head, because he doesn't really know that, that having it in 5 separate pieces,
I mean, it will slow things down for certain.
Would make it more difficult for anyone to do that. But I didn't know that they could just take one point.
Well, you'd have some technology that you might be able to replicate there,
right?
Let's do a somewhat secret vote. Why don't you guys just secret DM me via Discord what your character would want to do with it. We've got a couple options here. Feel free to vote on your own. We'll figure it out. All right, great. We will get back to that vote a little bit later because the scene kind of fades out as you all are, still discussing things, and fade backs in a few days later at a brief stop at Outpost Z, where you are warmly greeted by Hashachir in this private docking bay. The Rakrichi seems to be in very good spirits, as he seems to have finally kicked some of the last vestiges of his shell rot while docking here and refueling, getting your ship checked out. The Rakrichi takes on some of the rescued scientists from Aurelos and says he's fine, putting himself in charge of getting them back home or providing sanctuary to some of the Atlantis scientists who want to now get out of the Star Empire. And it's here on Outpost said that you guys have to say farewell as well to Margelber.
Oh no, tell me it isn't so.
I've written about 20 pages of farewell dialogue for her, so let's get through these pretty quickly.
Wait. What about the storyline where she was interested in one of the scientists? Did that pan out?
She tries to share a corner of the Phoenix's Respite on the return trip back. It doesn't pan out, so obviously Nikki is next in line for her advances. No, in her parting, she says, "Fare thee well, you mookie mooks. Thanks for not stealing the root drive and leaving us to rot on that asteroid."
You are welcome. It was fun to work with you while it lasted.
Oh, look at the moves you're trying to put on me. Let's save it for the reunion episode later.
Not a problem.
The rest of the scientists are indeed going to travel back to a planet you guys haven't laid eyes on in near a month or so. A very bright green and white glowing orb in the vast of space. Nakondis. Just a few weeks later, rests silently beneath your ship, and seeing it all aboard, especially Sedona and the 5 of you, seem to let go of the last lingering thread of anxiety and doubt, as it is officially now all over. You guys have emerged victorious, and you're back where this whole thing started. As the Respite bursts through the clouds and you can finally see the town of Madelon's Landing, there is an epic celebratory greeting party that meets you when you touch down at Phoenix's Landing, the area just to the north of the city designated as the new ship port. The entire town is there to welcome your vessel, and they let out a huge cheer as your ship's portside airlock opens to reveal you all. You see Madelon Kessie, the mayor, sending you a very loud prayer of Abadar, and then as you guys kind of pile out of the ship, Weldis Arquin is there, Jellic and Ibretta, Garaya Lee. They all come up and start congratulating, hugging you. They push naturally, locally grown fruits and some freshly baked bread in your hand so you don't have to eat any of the mush aboard your starship. Jellic might pass his flask over to you, Kaz, and the crowd, already uproarious, will cheer even louder as they see Sedona kind of step forward. Madelon Kessie quiets everyone as she will step in front of him, and having healed her mind over the past few weeks, she's looking very healthy, very rested, and Mayor Madelon says, what do my eyes portray before me but the return of a prodigal daughter? Welcome home, Sedona! There are tears and cheers as family members hold one another. You guys are on the receiving end of quite a few high fives and tentacle slaps as the entire colony of Nakondis begins to move en masse towards where there's tables and chairs set up in front of the town rec hall for a grand party. But as you make your way down there in front of what used to be the Aslanti barracks, you're met with a small platoon of armed guards in white and gold armor. Their insignia showing them to be members of the stewards. A darker-skinned woman steps forward from the group, and you recognize her immediately from her message as Depadra Avosco, the captain that sent you to rescue Sedona from Golta. Another Nomcoms officer steps forward, a Kasathan woman with a rifle slung on her back, and says, "Crew of the Phoenix's Respite, stand down. By order of the Pact Council and the authority of the stewards." The entire town kind of like stops talking for a moment as their merriment turns to whispers and low murmurs. This Kasathan steward says, "Who speaks for you all? Where is the captain here?"
I am the captain.
When, as you step forward, this very slight human woman, Depadra, does as well. The steward director reaches her hand out for you to shake.
So Wynn would take her hand.
I would just like to take this moment to say that Bumfuzzle is running back to the ship right now.
Why?
I'm firing up those engines. I'm getting the hell out of here. I can't get mixed up with the stewards. No, I'm out of here.
I've got warrants in several systems.
Right. Well hunted, Ben.
As I mean, a lot of you guys have criminal records. When she takes your hand and instead of shaking it, kind of lifts it up in the air like you just won a title match bout, and once more now the town is like ecstatically cheering as this steward says, "Give it up, Madelon Landing, for the crew of the Phoenix's Respite." And I don't know, somewhere music starts playing like immediately as people go and start making merry. The celebration that night is epic, much like the one when you liberated Madelon's Landing. You guys get the first packed-style home-cooked meal you've had in some time. Stories are shared, new friends and old regale one another, their words and warm demeanor. What do you guys... what do you think your characters are doing during this huge party?
Wynn is probably given like little bear rides to all the kids of the village.
Like on four legs?
Yeah, like on four legs.
Mm-hmm.
Talara has started a card game to try to get some of her credits back.
Kaz is going around to the various people that he learned bits of their language earlier in the adventure to show them how he has been practicing and communicating with them in their own tongue.
How many languages does Kaz know now?
So a lot, but I don't have an exact number because I didn't do it for last week. So
at least 7.
It's like 11 or 12 now, I think.
Whoa!
Because he's got the Tempered Pilgrim, which is 2 per
rank.
If Bumfuzzle's pretty sure we're not going to be arrested right now.
Everyone roll initiative. Let's go.
Right. Very cautious about joining the party, but once it sort of gets underway and nobody's paying attention, Bumfuzzle will sort of come into the group and walk up to a group of youngsters and start doing some sleight of hand magics and making cards disappear and things like that, and sort of entertaining the youngsters.
Nikithi?
Oh, I think Nikithi would just be sitting next to the mayor, and he just has his appendages over his ears. It's too loud. It's too wet here. It's too green. He's not happy to be back. I mean, he's happy to see everybody, but he's also like, I forgot why I did not like this planet. And, meanwhile, Itis is tugging on his clothing to try and get him to dance when she's like, oh.
Well, I feel like a select man would love the Pacific Northwest temperature and climb.
Oh, he prefers a lab.
Cold and sterile.
Bumfuzzle walks up.
Nikethi, would you dance with me?
Oh, I can't.
Everyone can dance. Come on, like this. Whee!
Oh, you're just dancing right here. Huh?
No.
I just go spinning off by myself.
I got to imagine Bumfuzzle's dancing just looks like him hitting someone with the butt of a pistol.
This is a great opportunity for a Frozen reference where, I don't dance, but my drone does. And you send Idas out with the crazy person who is dancing around.
Yeah, I think as soon as Idas sees Bumfuzzle dancing around, she goes and, Idas is a little bit, he's obviously in the time it took us to get here, Idas is significantly bigger. I mean, she's only a medium construct, but I've always seen it as she levels up, she grows, and so she's probably at least above head level with Bumfuzzle at this point, so they could dance together pretty well.
Yeah.
And what a change from the beginning of the season when Bumfuzzle was a stereotypical goblin and hating all things Akata. just throwing it out there. 40 episodes later, a lot of change. That night after you guys are done dancing, drinking, and eating, you get to sleep on some of the best mattresses in town. Bumfuzzle, you get a private bathtub suite, the Arquin house. And a section of the rec hall is made up for you all. And you guys have some of the best sleep, some of the best rest you've had maybe in your entire lives. And it's the next morning when Sedona once again calls you all together for a meeting at her home, a place I don't think you've got a chance to see yet. Another one of these very small container units in town, on the south side of town. When you come inside, you see the walls are just covered in old geological readouts and maps, and there are a few holographic projections of terrain shot from above from drones. And she'll make you all some tea, some breakfast, and asks you to get comfortable, and she'll start by saying, "So I brought you all together for a job under the pretenses of supplying this colony many months ago, but I must reveal now that I had an ulterior motive. Indeed, many years ago, in another life, I was a slave. I was indentured to a mining company on some dark rock in the vast, and one night when I was at my lowest, I had a friend that was hurt. They were tortured, their mind nearly destroyed, and I prayed to Triune for some sort of deliverance. And while I did not get a response from the god, that is one, I did get another sign. I saw a future vision, a version of myself who looks confident, bold, and happy. And she told me she came from the future, and that to stop a group of people even worse than my captors, I would need to remember 5 names and try to meet them and draw them together on a planet called Nakondis. I was taken aback, but I remembered what I told myself. I repeated your names over and over again. Talara, Nikethi, Kaz, Win, and Bumfuzzle. And while I could never locate you, Bumfuzzle, to secure your position on this job, it looks like Triune had you find us instead. When we activated the rune drive, I found myself flung back in time and meeting my former personages, my former self, in that slaver's mind once more, completing this loop. And this time I was the one reassuring myself that you all had what it took to take on the Aslanti Empire. But that was the extent of my vision. The prophecy I gave myself has come true. You all did it. You thwarted the Sardat and saved maybe more lives than we can ever know. But your mission is over now. I cannot thank you enough, but your futures are your own, and whether or not you all stay together now that your mission is over is up to you. I understand you all joined this crew while going through various stages, problems in your own lives, and perhaps it was indeed unfair for me to draw you all into this. If you wanted to go your separate ways, I understand. When the Phoenix's Respite is on a lease, it is up to you if you want to keep up with that. But I would like to know a lease. It is not paid outright. It is very expensive. It is a whole starship, and now you made some capital improvements with magic. They're going to want to see the paperwork for that. And
I hope you didn't put a security deposit down, because you're not getting that back.
Yeah, well, what are your characters' thoughts here?
I'm still reeling about the whole lease thing.
Well, that's if you want to keep it. You can turn the Phoenix's respite back over and make your own way in the universe.
As for myself, there is some traveling that I wish to do for a time, but Idis is still not complete, and part of me wishes to return to a lab where I can continue my research. I am, unfortunately, growing a little old, and I would like to see Idis at least completed before I go.
How old is Nikithi?
He's old, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not like 20.
That's why he's so slow.
I just thought that was like part of being a slug.
I mean, that's probably part of it too.
It's also, yeah, part of it is being a slug.
Yeah, that's snails you're thinking of. Slugs are like super fast.
That's slug life.
Yeah.
I think Talara would feel somewhat obliged to make sure that the rune drive was properly ushered to the next location, but after that would be a bit preoccupied with going off, finding out more about her past. I mean, I think having had this recent vision and realizing what her powers are capable of, I think she would like to explore that more, both her present self and her past self, and hopefully try to track down this android that she saw.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I feel like Wynn he has a desire to kind of still be around everyone, but he also recognizes that he has some soul searching to do in terms of, the powers that he unlocked of the Wild Knight and coming to full grips on what happened. I mean, he was a pretty broken bear at the beginning of this campaign and has since kind of rediscovered his purpose. And I feel like he kind of wants to put a punctuation mark on that before meeting everyone again.
I tried my best to give Wynn some more trauma by killing one of your teammates, but you kept them all alive, Captain.
It seems that we all have things that we would like to take care of. However, I would like this not to be the end of our story together. What say you several months from now that we all meet again at Absalom Station at the Ramie's Rumpus Room?
How would you know about that?
I mean, doesn't this take place after?
Yeah. I'm just saying, is Wynn a big RRR?
I mean, who isn't? It's the hottest place in the verse.
That's pretty funny.
What time would you like to?
7:30.
Absalom Station is on my short list of places to visit, and eventually I need to settle some debts, so I believe I could make room for that.
Right, so this conversation will last some time. You guys can make plans, talk about what, you would like to do. Sedona says that, she does want to complete her contractual obligations to Abadar Core with Nakondis, but is, has no more roots here than she does anywhere else in the system that she has lived. But this scene will indeed fade out as you all are sharing tea together, and fade back in on a montage of scenes of Nakondis growing and building in the following days. The colony itself has been reinforced both from Abadar Core and the stewards, but more and more deliveries of materials and colonists come in the coming weeks, and the town of Madelon's Landing has almost doubled in size by the time, from when you first got here, and really does show no signs of stopping as the mining drill teams brought back mineral and core samples showing that the mountains to the north are indeed rich with rare earth minerals and some of the things used in the manufacturing of space fuel. So the planet has a bright future, and we're still here a little while later, far out in the woods of Nakondis from the colony, where we see Kaz busy at work in the shadow of the Royal Venture, a bandana around your neck while your chest is bare and dripping with sweat. We see you finish burying a number of unmarked graves here. The cadets and Lieutenant Sharu are put to rest, and you have the small holographic device that Evandrian gave you. Maybe have that placed nearby on the natural occurring stone plinth used as a headstone. Drew, looking back on everything that's happened to Kaz, what is he feeling now that this task is done?
Kaz has had an interesting number of weeks, from not having his memory to going through all of his training for a while, and then being confronted with this past he wasn't aware of, this tattoo that was found, this picture that looks just like him, and now the Sardat and Evandrian both sharing his face. He has questioned everything about who he is and what this means, and I think he's going to need some time. He's going to return to his commune, to his vanguard solitude, and talk to Master Joran and share with him.
Read the sacred texts and do the.
And he's been on a pilgrimage. He started this whole experience being on this pilgrimage to go out and learn about other cultures, when really he needs to spend some time looking inside, looking internally to figure out who he is.
But to say, you discovered your own heritage in a way, kind of met your creator, and then you've killed yourself also in another way. How is that weighing on our Vanguard friend?
He has had a sense of right and wrong of what he feels is right and wrong for a long time, and I don't think that he doubts any of the things he did in the moment. I don't think he doubts attacking the Sardat and trying to kill the Sardat, because that was clearly someone who was doing something wrong, something bad. Mm-hmm. And especially considering that the Sardat is responsible for creating at least 2 clones and putting them into different parts of the Aslanti military, the Aslanti infrastructure. For all he knows, there are still more of his brothers out there that he may never come across.
Could be almost any of the Aeon Guard that you killed, you might not know unless you take that helmet off. They're covered head to toe. But one thing that you might be able to figure out, I don't know if you've pieced it together yourself, Drew, was that there really weren't a lot of memories Kaz was missing. He was created, didn't have a childhood because there was no childhood to have. You are not very old as far as actual years go. But yeah, immediately as soon as you were created, put into the Aslanti Academy system and turned into a soldier. But that means that because you don't have really a past to search for, you can make the future whatever you want it to be. While you're thinking about all this, there's a rumbling in the distance as a trike comes up the hill. The pilot takes off their glasses and helmet to reveal Jellic Fulson, who timidly kind of walks up and gets a sense of what you're doing here and says, "Hey there, Kaz. Didn't mean to scare you. Saw you take off a couple hours ago this morning in this direction. Figured you were going out here for some alone time, and then, well, maybe you would like a lift back to town."
Thank you, Jellic. I appreciate you worrying about me, but I believe I'll walk. I need the time to clear my head.
You mind, well, can I ask you why do you bury them bodies? After all what them Aslanti did to us and did to you, why don't they just deserve to rot in that ship like their ancestors afore them?
We are all products of our circumstances, of our experiences. Their circumstances were different than ours, and I do believe that on some level they did what they thought was right, regardless of whether we agree or not. I don't know that if I was put in a different circumstance that I might not be exactly the same as them.
That sounds like something a real smart fella would say, I guess. Well, what's next for you, Kaz? Where are you going after this? What You ain't gonna be on Nakondis forever.
No, I think for a time I'm going to return home and refocus, meditate, share my experience with my master, and after that, who knows?
Jellic will leave you to stew on that as you look up through the mists and the treetops of Nakondis and out into the vast of space, where we switch now bajillions of miles away in the deep of space, way back on Absalom Station, maybe a few weeks later, where an Asharu man stepping off of a shuttle into Docking Bay 41. Nikithi, we see Idis kind of padding beside you, rebuilt, bigger, better than ever, full of what maybe looks like rare metals given to you by the mining teams of Nakondis. Thanks for your work in freeing the colony. Nikithi can stop in at an old favorite bar of his on the station. Oh no, not Remy's Rumpus Room, but the fairly well-traveled, quiet HUD bar where the elite of the station could rub elbows with chem dealers from the Spike and adventurers from all over the galaxy. Would Nikithi, if you've been here before, have a favorite booth or somewhere that they would set up?
Ah, yes, the one in the corner.
With the hookah?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's free. There's maybe a few other small parties here, but it's fairly quiet. And you're allowed to sit there and think about your future. But you aren't there for more than an hour or so when a slick-suited human with dark skin and a sheen of magic about him approaches you and kind of holds out his hand with a card in it and says, "The name is Obadiah Mafad, and you are the famous Nikithi, and I trust this must be Idis."
You are correct on both accounts, although calling me famous is jarring.
I travel in circles where knowing someone's name, such as yourself, and perhaps their location, puts me in the business of making substantial amounts of credits. If I had a stomach for guns, I might make a decent bounty hunter, but I'm in another business entirely. The card he hands you has his name on it in a very holographic kind of sheen, and beneath it, his comm information on Absalom here, and his title, which is Talent Acquisitions.
Talent Acquisitions, and what exactly of my talents are you looking to acquire?
Well, isn't it obvious? That title is just a fancy way of saying a headhunter. I work freelance, connecting employers with skilled, motivated individuals that have proven themselves in their field of knowledge. Word is you're back from taking your biotic rig here out and field testing it against the Aslanti, is that right?
Yes, the tests were encouraging.
Well, I have an employer that is ready to make a significant offer for a few years of work in Biotechnica in the Vast.
Interesting. I would like to hear more about that.
It's a very small subsidiary of a much more powerful corporate umbrella, but you're going to have your own lab, maybe a few assistants, carte blanche to continue your own research along with a few other projects, and even more resources than you've ever had before. How does something like that sound?
My interest in continuing to develop the living weaponry is my great desire. If I am given carte blanche to continue my work, I will tinker with whatever else these people want me to.
There's like concerned Ida sounds next to you. Like, okay. But this man, Mr. Mafud, says, "Tell me, Nikithi, have you ever heard of the Bronze Bream Research Consortium?" We'll leave these two figures here in the shady corner of the HUD bar to talk as we head back out into space to a location we haven't seen since episode 75, when you all picked up supplies in a small backwater asteroid called Urkala in the Chuva system in the Vast. Normally just a stopping off point for refueling, but is also the home to the Mameton City, where smugglers, gangs, and pirates run together as thick as thieves. And it's here we see Talara again, back to her old tricks. She waits in a darkened alley in one of the abandoned factory districts of the city, with just a few crates behind her that are marked property of Abadar Corps. Before too long, that you're waiting here by yourself, a couple of sketchy-looking humanoids, Rebecca, walk up, both of elven ancestry, kind of like trundling their long ears full of piercings and plugs, and wearing battle-scarred armor, as is the norm for walking down the streets of Mamadon City. Are you the tiefling? One of them asks timidly.
Yeah, I'm the tiefling.
We've got the unmarked credits that you were able to... Are you able to get those blank Abadar cred sticks?
Of course I did.
Is it true what they say about you? The skinnier of the two says, and the other one kind of like hits him in the arm and says, shh, he didn't mean anything by it.
Talara looks him straight in the eye and says, it's all true.
It's just some of them talkers around town, say all kinds of things. Well, they said that you and your crew took out a gang here a ways back, and then you took on the Aslanti themselves.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't.
The skinnier one goes slightly pale and kind of continues on and says, there was this pirate captain. We thought the guy was full of it at first, but came through a ways back and said he knew you, and I believed him, miss. The demon smuggler of Mamadon, he called you. This captain, what was his ship's name? The Defiant Nova. He said he picked you out of a terrible battle when you were young, something about the darkness returning. I don't remember exactly what he said, but that captain got real quiet when people started asking questions about you, miss. And he said, her past is not to be uncovered. She's a curse who any share her birth. And he hightailed it out of the asteroid after that.
Good riddance.
Listen, we don't want to upset you here. We just want the chips, not any trouble. We threw in some extra money just so there won't be any cause for the disrespect of some of the other gangs. Whatever you do, just please do not turn our eyes to acid or our tongues to lava.
Take your sticks and leave.
They will, indeed, run away. Where is Talara heading next? You mentioned that she might be interested in looking more into her past. What exactly happened to her when she was younger? Where do you think her next steps are?
Well, I think she's alone in her thoughts at the moment, thinking of her captain. Her former captain, rather. She has no interest in him. I mean, as far as she's concerned, he was the captor and nothing more than that. So any of his superstitions that pirates have or whatever about what she actually is mean nothing to her. I mean, she just sees him as an evil abductor. But yeah, I think that
he might have the information that she's looking for, though.
Maybe. Yeah.
He is the one that kind of, put her into the life of piracy and smuggling, and is the direct cause of many of your woes, your character's backstory. But is that worth diving back into your old life to figure out what exactly?
Great question. I mean, I think she would like to. She'd like to know where he went, or more about what he might know about her life before him. But at the same time, she's very torn because, I mean, like I say, I mean, he's nothing but evil for her. I mean, he was the ruiner of her life as far as she's concerned.
If a broken bone doesn't set right and heals over, you know what they do to it, right?
They break it again.
Crack it right open and set it right. It's a time to open up some old wounds.
It might be. I'm not sure she has any other choice. I mean, she wants to delve deeper into her past, but I mean, if he's the key, if he's the only lead she has, then yeah, I guess she would chase him down. Find another job that takes her in his direction.
These are the thoughts going through Talara's head as she makes her way back to maybe a nicer neighborhood near the starport, and is deep in these thoughts as we leave her, walking into a kind of a rundown motel, and travel back into space to another corner of the galaxy as you all have divided up in your future. And we see a silently spinning pearl of green and a sea of black space. As we get in closer, we can see that it is a humongous, a gargantuan Raxolite crown canopy vessel known as the Emerald Spike, a huge multi-tiered bubble space station and kind of like a mobile planet for the little critters. And it's here in one of these hallways we see the large Wynn walking through another, like, it's not 10 foot wide, it's just a little shorter of that. I'm sorry, Wynn is not made for giant bears, but yeah, we see you walking among hundreds of these tiny Raxalites and dozens of other, medium-sized aliens trundling from biome to biome of the ship's parks and living bubbles. Generations of people have lived here as this mobile platform has been home for many of the tiny peoples away from the planet, the Raxalites planet where outsiders are not allowed. When you're here and as you get to your destination, a smaller bubble kind of opens up, one that has been the home of a Xeno Warden retreat for decades, a place they call the Moonfall Gardens. It's here where you're inducted into the ranks of other Guardians of the Greenway, and where you've not been back since you left their ranks after your failed mission. And entering into this lush garden, you're greeted with some new faces, some old here on the Council of 7, as they greet you, and you tower above most of them, as tall as some of the trees here in this grotto. An elf in a wooden mask starts the proceedings by saying, "Wynn of the Hexen Way, you have neglected your duties as a knight of the Greenway in your unauthorized behavior years ago." A Goran priestess speaks up across the circle from the elf and says, "We are here to discuss your future and that of your journey from outside these doors." A small Asoki in green robes says, "You have to explain yourself, Wynn of the Hexen Way. What have your travels taught you of the weeds of redemption and the vines of perseverance?"
Wynn sort of just looks everyone over and says, "When I began my journey, I was lost. I did not understand what the connection to the green meant. I was young and foolish and thought everything had to be solved with just war. And it wasn't until I was found by the android Sedona and set upon this insane series of events that led to us coming against the Aeon throne, the Aslanti, who, for all intents and purposes, are almost the exact opposite of us. They are what we strive not to be. And finding myself in camaraderie with others for a good purpose, and being in the vast, disconnected from the green at the same time, gave me time to reflect on who I feel I meant to be."
"When we have read reports that you have unlocked the power of a knight of our order, you did so without training. Under what circumstances did this happen?"
"My crewmate Kaz and I were fighting the Sardat of the Aslanti Empire. At the time, we thought he had killed our friend the Goblin Bumfuzzle, and the odds were stacked against us. And it was then that I unlocked the power of the green."
Yes. When you speak of a need to forgive yourself, as well as gain our forgiveness for your dereliction of duties, but the road to your salvation leads only one way, and that is through your own heart. You must know that in your duties as a knight, in our work as Xeno Wardens, many seedlings may die for one tree to grow to maturity. It is only your own actions that will allow you to get past this and understand this truth. Are you ready here and now to seek atonement and move on, Wynn?
"I am."
"We have a prophecy to return your person to the green path, that of our ancestors who walked only on terrestrial soil. Your task is threefold. First, you must seek out the dark corners of this world where nothing can grow and bring life to the soil. Second, you must choose a path that sees the protection of all life before that of destruction, choosing peace before conflict. Your third task is honor the sacrifices of those around you and always put yourself before others in harm's way in a manner befitting your title from here on out. When Do you honor the planting of the seed, the growth of the roots, and the rot and return of the garden cycle? And will you likewise follow these 3 edicts as this council has given them to you?
I will.
Then you are hereby given the rank of Sir Wen of the Hexen Way, guardian of the lighted path. There's a deep and loud drum beat on taut flaxen hide across a hollow tree trunk elsewhere in this glade. They nod and lead you from this holy place, and once more you feel a weight lifted from your furry shoulders, as making things right here has kind of given you this internal wellspring of emotions as you step out of the bubble and back into the hallway. Last but not least, we need to once more venture out into space and into the drift as we see a number of figures walking up a starlit path towards a discreet electronics shop with a neon sign out front that reads Kindori's in blue lettering. There's a small figure in the middle flanked by a couple of androids, and that is where, we see a Bumfuzzle. As Sedona and Aeon, you are led into this building and into the back room where once more you meet a number of the members of the founding 19 Order. They're here to greet you. We see Andio and Andy and 9, and I can't make all the names. There's so many, but a lot of them, not the full 19 yet.
At least 8.
I think we need to start a internal wiki for the meta plot here. But yes, they greet you and say, Bumfuzzle, we take it that your mission was a success?
Yes, it was. I have brought to you, behold, Aeon.
Aeon very quizzically looks at you and then at them and steps forward and reveals the manufacturer plate on his chest. Is well worn to the passages of time, but Andio runs a scanner over it and kind of reveals indeed the letters A-N-D and then a dash and the number 12 that stylistically looks a little bit like Andiz with a Z.
Aha, see? Aha!
My name is Aeon, but I believe that others that have taken this form have used this, and points at his chest, indeed as a designation. Bumfuzzle tells me you're some kind of religious organization?
I lean back towards Sedona and say,
This could have been you. You could have been the cool one, but you had to go and goof it up.
I'm sorry, I'm not as old as Andy.
Hush. It's an important ceremony.
Andy steps forward and says, My sibling, we are the founding 19, and we believe that at our core, we are the original 19 androids that were created eons ago and given souls by our god. We have been given visions and portents that if we were to join together, we will reveal an ancient aspect of our god Triune. Come, there is much to tell you, and we have more of our kind to find in the coming years. Bumfuzzle, the android that was once known as Null 9, comes up to you, very serene face. She's wearing the robes of the founding 19. She greets you and Sedona, and
Bumfuzzle gives a generous nod, or not a nod, a bow.
Oh, how formal.
Reasonably formal.
Bumfuzzle, you have done this ecumenical body a great service. We operate off of a predictive algorithm that was magically attuned to your former predecessor, Collywobble. All of this was written and foretold, but we only knew that sending you to seek out Sedona might lead to you eventually finding a member of the 19. We did not know exactly what or who was going to be the member, but you seem to have beaten several of our predictions and exceeded our various outcome scenario forecasts. One of the prophecies said that you were going to die by falling down a giant hole.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh.
Bumfuzzle, are you not pleased that your task is complete? You don't seem happy.
Well, no, I am. I'm glad that I was able to hell by, I was just a little confused, you see, when, we found my target, and this isn't in it. And the model, and, it was just a bit confusing. I felt a little left out. I felt like a real dunce, I tell you that.
We did not know either. The path that Collywobble's prophecy laid out was convoluted. He himself knew that taking you and Cattywampus to the Aeon would potentially mean his death, but there are always possibilities. No future vision we create in our predictive model is set in stone.
He was a wise goblin. That is true.
What I'm trying to say is that his future, as is your own, is what you make of it, my friend.
Oh?
Exactly. Whatever you want it to be.
Wait, what?
You make your own future. From here on out, it is yours.
Am I fired?
Well, no. If you want to continue to work for us, we have still more of our kind we need to find, but...
Are you laying me off?
Perhaps, maybe, you just take a break. Step back.
But did I do something wrong?
No, but there is someone that has been with us for some time that has been waiting to see.
Oh, so I'm being replaced, I see.
As you turn around, indeed, you see your replacement. As Cattywampus is standing right there behind you.
Scab!
He holds up a pickle for you and say,
"Hey, Bumfuzzle, how's it pickling, brother?"
That's Cattywampus' voice now.
Oh, no. Cattywampus, you sound so different.
He comes out to embrace you and gives you a hug.
I eat the pickle. And I give him a hug, too. I also give him a hug. Big hug.
I left Andis's 148 with his friends. He's a good hand. I want to come back and meet you here after your mission. I'm pretty red android lady. Are you a magical android like these ones?
No, she's not magical at all. She's just a normal folk. Just like everybody else.
That's cool. So what's up, Bumfuzzle? What happened? give me like the top 3 highlights of your vacation on Nakondis.
Oh boy, what a vacation it was. I got stranded in a jungle.
What?
And then I got blown out of the sky.
Oh boy.
And then I got thrown off a bridge.
That sounds pretty boring. Did you at least make some new friends along the way?
Well, I made 2 friends, but I won't tell you which ones.
Were the rest big jerks?
Yep, all the other ones I hated all with all my blood.
Sounds about accurate. Anyway, I think I've been relaxing here enough. I think it's time for old Cattywampus to pitch in to the effort. I was thinking about taking a trip out to the vast like you and join up in an effort, a small army on a backwater planet where I'll probably never see any combat. Have you ever heard of the Suskilling system before?
No, that sounds relaxing.
We watch as the 2 goblins and Sedona exit the electronics shop, and outside are Nikithi and Talara, Wynn and Kaz waiting for you guys with the rune drive between you all in this bustling street. Androids and robotic beings moving by. You've got it between you on a small dolly, and we're waiting to pull it further up the streets to the Temple of Triune at the heart of Alluvion. Any last words here for you guys? As this is indeed what you have voted on to give it back, perhaps to the goddess of interdimensional travel, where it might be the safest, some place where it isn't really needed.
So Nikithi pulls out a small pistol. He's made, over the time we've been traveling, at the end of the adventure, he's made a lot of modifications. There's a bone frame. The barrel is as much metal as it is hard chitin. There's a Tashtari lens at the end of it, allowing the gun to be boosted, and it glows with fusions and upgrades. And on the handle, in the bone handle, there's a name, and it's called the Misty 5, and it says Tagelic. This gun is for those who find their luck in the mist, and he produces it, and he says, I took Jellic's gun back when this first started, and to me it has always been a symbol of our coming together, and it embodies our entire adventure to me, but I wanted to give it back, with some Nikiti touches to it, and I would be honored if you would all carve your signature into it as well.
Bumfuzzle steps up and inscribes their name as Bumfuzzle our Ools forever, and then passes the little torch off to Kaz.
Okay.
Kaz charges his index finger with entropic acid energy and draws a design on the gun as his signature.
Oh, too good for a pen, I see.
Hands it off to Win.
Win takes his claw
Oh, okay, now I see what's happening.
and signs his name and hands it to Talara.
Talara signs her name, but in doing so, secretly imbues the gun with the ability to summon a demon, just to play a little trick on Jellic.
That's canon now.
Bumfuzzle throws the pin off into the universe so that it's never seen again.
No one will ever write with this stencil again.
Well, yeah, the pen will float away as you throw it up, and the camera will move out as well as we see you guys walking up the asteroid side up these streets, and we'll pull out until Alluvion is just a single dot, the empty expanse of the drift, where these massive purple and green clouds form into shapes, indeed into towering letters the size of constellations in the emptiness of this dimension. And those letters spell out to the gods and alternate dimension beings wise enough to be able to read them. It's the words,
The end.
and then there's an infinite amount of question marks that stretch out after it. Perpetuity, because that's not the last scene of this season. Oh no. We see a montage of the 5 of you continuing on in your journeys across the system, Nikiti in a private corporate starship later on, and Kaz, maybe waiting for a transport vessel to leave Nakondis, and when stepping off the Xenowarden, you see Bloom freighter into a new and strange alien jungle, while Talara is floating around space stations looking for answers to questions of her past. In Bumfuzzle, we see you say a farewell to Sedona there on Alluvion as she departs back to continue her colonization work on Nakondis.
Sedona, I'm sorry I thought you were that other person, but you turned out to be pretty cool all on your own.
I'm sorry I was never able to find you for this mission, but from what I was told, you were saving the universe somewhere else, so...
What can I say? I'm good at finding you. I'll get back to you. All right, bye.
Bumfuzzle, as you turn to leave, there's an Anasite courier that stops you and places an envelope in your hand.
Ooh.
Likewise, we see automated drones sending out packages to Win in the deep jungles here, as well as similar packages to the rest of the crew of the Phoenix's Respite throughout the galaxy. Each of you receive a blue and white embossed package with your name on it, and in the corner a small stylized asteroid logo that rests above the words New Elysium. And opening the package, you find a letter that reads, "To be continued." Oh! Bum, bum, bum.
You had to do it. You couldn't.
No, that's not the end. I can't tell the future, much like Bumfuzzle, but I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that these characters' stories are done, personally.
Surprise, everybody. Season 3 is not going to start yet. We're going on with more Season 2.
Signal and Screams would be a lot of fun right now, right? Let's just do another 40 episodes.
I can't wait till you guys see what Kaz looks like now.
I think we have at least just some more gaming with him in the future. Let's just say we'll see you later. But yeah, not indeed the end of their stories, but it is indeed the end of season 2 of the podcast. That's done.
This is a really fun season. I really had a lot of fun this time. Thanks, everybody.
I mean, we're gonna talk about it next in our season wrap up. But yeah, it's emotional for me putting these characters to bed. I've definitely had some of the most fun playing Starfinder in this season. I don't know if you guys have fun playing these same characters, but all in all, I mean, I wouldn't trade this season for anything else, even an upcoming season where I might have written a book. I had a lot of fun. I knew that this shorter season was going to be different. It was going to be fun in its own right, separate from the amount of fun that we had with Dead Sons. So I
loved Bumfuzzle quite a bit.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about this next week, but
that's true.
Yes, and as I always do here, I just want to say that you guys are some of my best friends. Completing not one but two of these Starfinder campaigns, I don't think would be possible, without straining our friendship in some way, or us exploding 115 episodes later. But here we are, baby, about to start season 3. But I just want to say, I honestly wouldn't want to be doing this podcast or playing this game with any other peoples out there that I can think of. So I'm going to say this for the last time this season. I want you to know that I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for playing with me.
Thank you.
Patrick.
Listeners, if you want to hear more from us, you don't have to wait too long. Season 3 is going to start off in the far future of the year 2020. Thank you for listening to 115 episodes, or 41, however many you did of this podcast. And we especially want to thank all of our Patreon supporters who've made this all possible in this last year. We have, I think it's undisputed, the friendliest and most caring TTRPG community out there. Mm-hmm. And we might be small, but our hearts are mighty, as well as the hearts of our listeners. So thank you for listening and being and embodying what it means to be a Crittermander.
Crittermanders are the best community on the internet.
They're the best.
I don't think anyone can dispute that.
If anyone tries, I'll fight them tomorrow
as I'm
in the parking lot.
Speaking directly to them. It's like, no one would. Yeah, that's going to do it for us. So signing off for season 2. Guys, we will see you next week and next season.
See you next season, everybody.
Woo.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Cosmic Crit. This episode has been made possible through a sponsorship with Roll20, and the backing of our Crittermander fans on Patreon. Thanks again and have a great week.